Hello. All right. That's not gonna work. Testing. There we go. That's better. Maybe. That's fine. Use that. All right, you guys have to join the Discord, not just watch the video. Oh, fudge, where'd it go? Well, you're just no fun there, Therm. That's what I was looking for. Trying to get everything organized here, and well, it's not working well. Move that out of the way and break it. All right. Forward. Relax. Buttons and barrel. All right. I'm going to build. I don't think anybody's joined me yet. I'm going to build my 4-port antenna relay switch that I picked up at Hamvention this year. That's funny, Therm. What do you think of the setup there? Of the layout? A little bit of a delay. Normally about 10 seconds. Reaching up over the right side of the screen, type on the computer. So I designed this box in Tinkercad, and the point of it, oh no, it didn't work. I don't think that's gonna work. I don't know how, I've used that exact hinge before. Check falling over here. Knives. I don't know, my knife kit's gone. So I just 3D printed, designed and 3D printed this to build this box, and I did it in multiple parts to make it easier to add components later, because this board has optional components to it. And knife safety, children. This board has optional components to it, and I want to be able to add them later. And if you solder the coax to the board and then run it through the holes, not gonna work. How's the YouTube audio sound? Wait for the delay. Okay. This method of making hinges for a card game box. I drop shit on the floor. Found this method of making hinges, and it works pretty well for putting these boxes together. And I'm going to try and put this hinge together so I know if it works, primarily so that I can redesign it if I need to later, before I get too far into this build. Good deal. I have to work under the camera.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. What's happening?
Not much. Nobody
So
sounded the beacon.
What's that?
Nobody sounded the beer beacon.
Oh, we tried to.
Nobody.
Right? Right?
Oh, sorry, you were gonna say I'm talking what?
Oh, trying to build a little project I bought at Hamvention.
Oh, cool. What's
but also trying to test out a 3D print that I made to get in there to house it. Okay. I have to remember to work in the camera and not up against my body like I'm used to doing. I am suspecting, because it's my paper clip here. Paper clips make great hinges on 3D prints if you do it right. expecting a food or something when I made this hinge.
Is that the one thing you 3D printed the other day? Yesterday? I don't know if you're talking or not, but your audio went dead. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. Oh, wait.
So I've been talking to myself.
A little bit.
Because my phone apparently dropped Discord. Because I'm using my phone as my microphone.
If it works, it works.
Yep, when it works. That's the second time I've had Discord crap out on me on my phone.
Android or iPhone?
Android. Yeah, let's see. Damn it. I even moved the camera and I'm still working out of the frame. Oh, I see this ending badly. I think I screwed up my joint when I made it. All right, we're gonna redesign that. So that'll be for another day.
Are you trying to put it in and it's just crooked and it won't go in anymore, or?
Well, I think what the problem is, you probably can't. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see it. But there's holes that go all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
There's holes that go all the way through, and basically this hinges. And
oh yeah, you're gonna need to make those paper clips really precisely straight.
Oh yeah, they are. Well, actually, with the paper clip, I've learned you just use a Leatherman or a pair of pliers or something, and there's trouble. And they'll go in eventually. I think it's the holes are not lined up, so I need to play with that some more in Tinkercad. So that means those do not go on tonight. All right. I seen her come in.
I think she's trying to be quiet tonight.
She is. She's trying to sneak up on us. That's what she did to me in Practical IoT the other day. Scared the crap out of us.
You're gonna hear out of nowhere just go, "Shot!"
Uh-huh. All right. So I guess there's not really a assembly guide. It's just Let's see, assembly. I'm looking at the guide on the computer. So the one thing they don't put in the assembly tips is the one thing that I had a problem with when I was messing with this the other day. So basically, what I'm going to do is the coax goes here, the board sits behind it, and then just run jumpers to it. But I tested actually running the coax all the way through the hole, and that worked out pretty good. But they have to be threaded in, and I can't thread them in with a solid piece with the thing around them. So I thought I would do the hinge idea to hold it together, and I have to come back to that. Leave it to me to make the project more difficult than it has to be. All right. So my messy desk.
But that's the fun part.
Yeah, this is after cleaning it.
Yeah, improvising halfway in and then realizing your mistakes at the end.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, there's 3 of those. There's supposed to be 5 of those. There's the other 2. This is how I was thinking about doing it with the hinge, and then the board would go over here. I know there's a delay, so I'm even seeing a delay in OBS. I can go in there for now. All right. What do I want to start with? Let's start with ceramic caps. Resistors. What is this? Oh, that's an insulator. This is the first time I've ever ordered from DigiKey, and I am very impressed with the way they ship stuff. Resistor array, relay.
Which reminds me, Neil, take a look at that.
Oh, you're working, aren't you, Babs? What are those MOSFETs? Trying to organize smallest to largest. All right. I thought there was more resistors than that, but maybe not. Let's see if this works. I'm using, hey, that did work. Using of all things, a PlayStation 3 camera. So, how many of these did I order? 10 10Ks. Yeah, I guarantee you guys can't read that. And 1 2K. Is that laggy at all? Because OBS looks like it's lagging.
Just a bit, yeah.
I wonder why. It's probably, oh, I bet I know why. I wonder if I can fix that. I think I have it set for like 60 frames per second. Match output. Let's see if that fixes that. Of course, I'm looking at it from across the room. All right, so Never find your tools when you need them. There's one pair. Looking for my tweezers.
You're gonna do tacos?
Do what?
Are you gonna do tacos?
Do what?
Tacos. Tacos.
Oh, tacos. No, I'm not making tacos. No. No. I had to find my tweezers. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's interesting. This entire board is, with the exception of one good Lord, resistor. There we go. That's the right word. It's 10Ks. I don't see the rest of them. They're supposed to be 10. That's interesting.
Do you got the manual or instructions for it so we could look at it?
I linked it in the YouTube video if the description held.
I see.
But if you Google, yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. There's not really instructions per se. There's a diagram of what it is, and that's about it. 4, 5, 6. I'm just curious why I have 10 resistors and only 6 spots. Well, I know there's a BOM here. Resistor, 10K, 10 of them. I'm sure I'll find them as soon as I get all the high mounted stuff on there.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only see 8.
Resistors total?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I lost the, there it is. That, see, and I did not, either that or I missed them when I was rifling through the box. Did not see the 620 resistors. Which hopefully they didn't get missed in my order. But if they did, I'm sure that I have some 620 resistors in my drawer.
Okay, I found 9. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, you said you got 10 resistors?
Yeah, I've got 10 10K.
Oh, okay. And then there should be 1 2K. I think.
I've got 1 2K.
Okay.
And then I've got ceramic caps. Well, shit. I'd really hate to.
I'm sure you'll find it.
Well, I'm curious where, if you, so over here, wow, yeah, the blackboard is not the best. Let's see if that helps any. Over here it says 620, but the bill of materials does not have 620s, unless Those are part of, that's what it is. Okay, those are an optional part. That's part of the RS-485 part. Cool. So I don't have to worry about that. All right. I forgot to do something. Forgot to moisten my sponge.
Just so you know, my project was a simple one, and it took me more than 4 hours.
I would not be surprised if it takes that, or if I just don't finish it, because I gotta be up at 6:30 tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna get the lighting right here and everything else. All right, let's soldering iron back on. I guess we'll start with the TK.
Yeah, probably. If I stay quiet, he'll probably finish it in an hour.
Right. I've only had this thing since, well, mid-May. So
you're now getting to it.
Yeah, well, I just ordered the parts Monday before Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So solder would be helpful. And then, did you do the video last night?
Yes. Or the stream?
Yeah. The Christmas tree?
Yes.
See how you were using flux. I'm one of those people, I don't even use flux. So I don't even have any.
And I soldered for a long time without it. So to me, it's like I don't see a major benefit other than it'll, sizzle, pop, and burn you.
Yeah, right. Those look like really shitty joints are. You have to let me know if I start working out of frame, because I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to the video.
Would do. Let me know if I'm making too much noise. I'm like organizing my desk.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. All right. And doing shit like that is where half the junk on my desk comes from. I keep forgetting to pull Discord back up when I switch over to the guide to watch chat. It probably doesn't help that, unlike you guys, even though I'm doing the Drunker Boxes stream, I don't actually drink.
Well, then, yeah, you're going to finish this in 30 minutes.
All right. Yeah, the bigger the job, the better the Glover term. The solder I have does have flux in it. I just don't use extra. I don't have to work tomorrow. I have to go fill my freezer tomorrow. I moved it. Call engineer. Oh, he's not in here. I mean, he's still a narcissist. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I thought I had done a second one already. See, I'll get a piece ready and then forget that I did it. Or I'll set it down to do something, forget about it. I feel like I'm missing all the fun banter that I keep falling asleep on every night. I even have pants on, Bab. Camera doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. It's only a 640 by 480 camera.
It's probably better than the one that I was using.
Well, I thought it would be horrible. But at least from, 6 feet away, it doesn't look bad. I don't know what the stream looks like. Jesus, those look like shit. Okay. As long as they're conductive, right? I don't know if you guys could see those shooting. The shadow. Yeah, I know what shadows he's talking about, and I don't know if I can fix that. Turn that light off. That's not too bad. I have an overhead light and, well, a rig that I use for something else, or used to use for something else. That I adapted for this.
Oh, that's a nice setup.
Well, like I said, I built it for something else. Yeah, exactly what I said, Therm. I cleaned my desk. You guys can't see them. All my hacker boxes are stacked up above the top. It's PVC pipe that I use some fittings, and the camera is actually zip tied into one of the fittings. it used to sit over the top of a Pinewood Derby racetrack to record the live action replays. And since I'm no longer doing that, I brought it home. All right. So, Pirate, did you find any more resistors that were 10K?
No, just the 9.
Just a 9.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What?
R1, R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7.
But I think R6 and
R9.
R7 are different.
Yeah,
Seems to
they're a 620. This whole I gotta sneak. All right, there we go. That whole section of the board is an optional RS485.
Oh, okay. That's what you said. That part was optional.
Yeah, so there's three the 3 sections here. These are all actually optional. You got RS485. Thought it was a homemade vacuum system. XB, which I have one of those modules somewhere. And then USB over an FTDI. So yeah, you can do all 3 of those, or you could just do it manually with the buttons, which is how I'm going to use it for now. Because I'm going to put it right by my radio. If I ever decide to place it up on the tower or something, then that'll be a different.
Yeah, in that case, I only see the 6, and then the R2. I'm assuming it's 2K.
R2 is the 2K, yeah. All right. Put these back in the bag. So I have extra parts already. Wonderful. Project's not complete until there's extra parts.
It's better to have the extra than not have them at all.
Right. Okay, what do I want to do next? What are these? These are the 0.1 ceramics, and I have 4 of those. Boom. Got 1, 2. 1, 2. What's my other ceramic? A 22. So here's my 22s. And I've got 2 of those. So let's start with those. Since I found both of them. Huh. Interesting. Ceramics are non-polarized, right?
I want to say maybe.
Wow, they said $3,000 for that little bit of damage, Therm. Wow.
Hey. Who's streaming tonight?
It would be me.
You able to resend the link?
It's up in the channel somewhere. I have to go over to the other computer to send it. It's probably not a bad idea to pin it. Let's see here. Actually. Oh, well, who pinned it?
All right, I found it.
Ah, Therm pinned it. Okay. Good thinking, Therm. What was that? Oh, my tip feels loose.
Oh, freezing.
Babin's probably having a fit about the way I'm cutting. I think I'll leave that one down. I think that looks better. Yeah. Well, I already had some shoot off and try and hit my 3D printer earlier.
It's a pretty large PCB.
Yeah, it is. It's what, probably 5 by 6 inches. Two, 3, 4. Two. So what I did for the stream, Bald Engineer didn't make it here, did he?
No, he's not in here yet.
Did he say he was coming? But well, oh, after he eats. I thought he had said something. When he joins, if he joins, I'm actually running 4 instances, honestly, of Discord. One on my phone for voice, one on my laptop, which is sitting next to me, one in a browser, logged into my wife's account, and then my main one over on the desktop, which I'm not actually using for this. The two that are showing up in the video are based out of the browser. Oh, screen I wanted. Huh. concentrate on driving? No, never. Good.
Everyone's quiet tonight so far.
I know. Yeah, his TV is more important. All right. What's next?
So how many drinks you in so far?
I actually do not drink.
Ah,
I for personal reasons chose for personal reasons chose that I don't do that. And decide what components I want to do next. That's probably one of the last ones. That'll be soon. That'll be very last. Resistor array. What is it? I don't even know what the hell this chip is. The 2803. I have no clue what that chip is. But it can stay in the box. Right. Trying to sort out the pieces that I know are either the other side of the board or the really, really big stuff. This one's gonna just kind of jump around a bit. on charger. I keep my phone on the charger here. They really package this one. Huh. This is an interesting design. 5-volt buck regulator, 5-volt 3 amp. It's gonna be fun putting this in those holes. I'm sure that that was intentional, Bavin. He didn't want somebody playing sound effects. Man, I don't know the best way to do this. I want to make this as clean as possible. Apparently my hemostats got magnetized somehow. That looks pretty close to perfect. Welcome, Mel. Of course, it would be something so stupid that I'm obsessive about. Well, I like him already. He's got a surface. Love my Surface. Did I lose you, Pirate?
Oh, I forgot to turn off my mic. My bad.
That's cool. I was having no audio at all, and I wanted to make sure I didn't lose it completely.
Oh, you're good so far.
Cool. Come on, get in the hole. Just the tip, right?
And that's what she said.
Yeah. All these bags and shit. I lost my starter.
Let's see. Bev says, finally, without IoT, so many things are not said. Don't ask. Oh, that was too bold, engineer.
There's James.
I think IoT just left.
He wasn't even in.
No, he was never here. He's watching TV. Every time I tap that on the desk, something sounds loose. They all feel good. Well, I don't have that many components on there yet to be loose. I tell you what, I bought a cheap Chinese soldering station on Amazon. Was recommended by Robert Balliser on Twit when he was still there, and I actually really enjoy it. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, James. And when he left is when I quit watching Twit. No. Well, okay. I'm not going to completely dismiss that statement. But the worst part about Twit is if I wanted to listen to a political podcast, I would listen to a political podcast, not a technical podcast that likes to talk about politics nonstop. Yeah, have you gotten that yet, Therm? Or has it even shipped yet? You got shit with no home. I have an address. Well, you'll have that. All right, what else do I got here? Let's see. Those are LEDs. Oh. Let's do the resistor networks. All right. MOSFETs. What is that? Schottky. Cap. Header. Resistor network. You know, I never knew what a resistor network was until we got one in a hacker box. And it absolutely blew my mind how it worked until I researched a little bit on exactly what it does. Yeah, that's how it normally works for me too, Therm. Don't worry, you're not the only one.
There was a lot of neat stuff in some of the early hacker boxes that are pretty interesting to learn about.
Okay, I heard a pretty interesting one about, and then you dropped out.
I said there was a lot of good stuff in the earlier hacker boxes that I hadn't heard of before.
Yeah.
That I had to research.
Yeah, I agree.
You missed it last night, I think, but I started on the Internet of Things box.
Oh, did you? What box was that? Was that in the 20s? I think I have that one.
It was, I believe, if I looked it up last night, it was 0006.
Oh, no, I didn't have that one then because I didn't start until it was either 10 or 11, whatever the Halloween one was.
Oh, yeah, with the skull.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Let's hope I didn't screw up. I did. Son of a bitch. I didn't see another resistor network in there. I thought there was only 2. And the one that I put in does not match. Oh, I'm going to need that. LEDs, chips. Shit. So, all right. So I've done screwed the pooch somewhere. I'm just not sure where yet. Huh. There's that resistor network. That's where that one goes. So apparently there's a 10K, a 270, out of there, and another 10K of a different size. Empty bags. Relays. Oh, that's why I missed it. I put a resistor network in a bag with all this bubble wrap and everything else. I hadn't even looked at what that one was.
I don't think I've, well, I must have used the resistor network, but I don't quite remember what it was doing fully.
Yeah. Gotta catch up on chat there. I have that power supply therm from 19, or the power maker. I have that kit that I've still yet to build. Well, fudge.
You got a desoldering gun?
Nope. I just moved it. See, this is why you don't well, can't really call what I did cleaning my desk, but
I thought you were gonna say this is why you don't solder sober.
that too. I have. Where the hell did they go? There it is. Solder wick. Man, can't believe I did that. Actually, I do. 100% believe it.
I have never gotten a hang of the wicking method.
Me either. I'm not good at it. I'll do best I can, and then I'll get my little sucker ball out and do what I can do there. Hey, that's hot.
I end up snagging a lot of parts off of DVD players and such that go bad, and they're a lot of through-hole parts, so I just bought a desoldering gun. Has the heating element and everything in it.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Works pretty nice, except for when the company has proprietary parts on the board and then they have that solder that takes an ungodly high temperature to melt.
Yeah. Anything that's ROHS certified, you got to use a really hot temperature on because they use that lead-free solder. And yes, I know I need more flux, James. I do not own flux.
Oh, nice. You got a Heiko? Or is it Hako or Heiko, or how's it pronounced?
Man. I'm going to spend more time dicking with this than the rest of it.
I have a AOEU, or however that one's pronounced, soldering station, bald engineer. I'll actually see if I can find the exact station that I have. Hako is how you think it's spelled.
Yeah. It's just as hard for me to see this board as it is for you guys, probably. My wife just sent me a text whining about having to watch commercials on TV because we use Plex at home. And she is currently in a hotel. She hasn't said anything about it today. You know, when Radio Shack was going out of business, I bought some Flux, and I don't think I have seen it since the day it came home. No, that's a Micro Center bag, not a Radio Shack bag.
Wait, which time were they going out of business?
The most recent. Went in there and spent like $200 on shit I didn't need. try a different method here. No, they came back as an online only, didn't they? And then I don't know what's happening there.
Well, they did the chapter 13 or whichever one that lets you reorganize. And then that's when they did the online only thing with a handful of stores, and now they're done.
Oh, so the online only thing is dead now too?
Maybe online still exists. I mean, does anyone here know?
No, I haven't tried. Surprised somebody like Alibaba didn't buy them.
That just posted the picture of the soldering station that I have.
That is the one that I am using. Very similar. It's not the exact one, but it's very similar.
So, real quick regarding Radio Shack. A couple of months ago, maybe it was a year ago, Adafruit trolled that they had bought Radio Shack. And they actually bought one stock or one share that was like, for a poster. So,
yeah, I saw that.
Replying to Therm in the chat. Oh, he's not even in here, is he?
No. Well, I mean, he can hear us. He's on. He's listening through YouTube.
Well, replying to him, then I ended up getting Mauser lead-free solder for I think it was $30 for a pound, or pound of it. Like 5 years ago, and that's lasted me forever.
I bet.
yeah, actually, I just bought a reel of solder like a year ago, and that replaced my solder from college 20 years ago.
Right.
Well, I bought this spool when I first. Oh shit! I don't know. Probably 10 years ago, and I'm still on this spool.
How much weight is that one?
I have no clue. 8 ounces.
So about half a pound then, roughly.
Yeah. It's lasted me several years. And I've done big stuff like TL259 connectors, which take a lot of solder to fill them.
Yeah.
Come on, you piece of
Lerm just said that he's had solder, or that he still has solder from 2004 from his old job.
That's funny. I'm trying to apply a little pressure to pull. Probably not the best method. But whatever works, right?
And once I actually run out of this spool, I'm definitely gonna end up buying another one, probably at full price, because of the fact that I got it through somebody who was pretty much getting rid of their stuff.
All right.
So I am not going to find it for that price again. But since it's lasted as many years as it has, and I still have at least 3/4 of the spool, it's definitely worth, I think, $75 is what they charge for it through Mauser themselves.
for a pound of it.
Yeah, and it's the lead free, so it's a little bit more expensive.
Yep. Yep. Oh. Fitbit's trying to tell me it's time for bed. If only it knew. Fuck. I'm gonna need a drink after that.
I would actually think that at this point, lead free should start getting cheaper.
It should, because there's a lot of countries that have already completely phased out lead solder completely. It's now illegal in some countries.
Yeah.
Well,
And they're thinking about doing that in the U.S. because of people getting lead poisoning from it.
so in the EU, you can still buy leaded solder. It's just that you can't ship anything with leaded solder once you have it.
Ah,
But for that reason, like if you go to like Premier Farnell, you can't really buy leaded solder. If you try to, it's more expensive.
wow. Yeah, at some point I see the shift coming to where lead free is going to be more expensive because it's
Because they're gonna
becoming the
make
standard.
Well, it's just quantity. I mean, there's no CMs that are doing leaded solder except for highly niche applications.
Right. Is there any electrical property to using leaded over unleaded?
Electrical, no. Mechanical, hell yes.
Really?
It's way more pliable. So you can actually bend the circuit board a lot more with leaded solder.
I gotcha.
And also, if you end up getting the lead-free solder that's got the silver in it, it might have a little bit more conductivity compared to the lead.
Well, yeah, that's because the silver allows the tin to migrate and it creates whiskers. So you get all kinds of conductivity, even the stuff you don't want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually a shame that lead is so poisonous because it's actually a really amazing metal.
All right. Let's see if we can screw it up again. Oh man. All right, so I just wasted what, 20 minutes trying to fix a fuck up?
Isn't that what most people call a normal day?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, on that the LED ring box that we got from Hacker Boxes, I ended up accidentally soldering all of the surface mount LEDs backwards, so I had to desolder every one of them and redo them.
That sucks.
A couple of them I had to replace with a larger chip because when I went to go desolder it, the LED completely split in half. The bottom part just ripped off.
I think if I had to desolder a bunch of surface mount LEDs, I would have thrown it in the trash can.
I'm far too persistent for that.
All right, what do we got here? Oh. Look, I'm trying to move on to the next part instead of finishing these damn things. And now I still have solder in the holes.
But yeah, I learned the lesson on how the markings work on LEDs. And some of the ones that were in that box weren't very clear as to which direction was which.
I am so glad to hear this, man, because I'm working on a DMM video. And when I used to teach how to use a DMM, I used to cut the leads in the wrong direction because I had a set where the positive was the short lead. And everybody's like, oh, the short one's the cathode.
Right.
It's not
so
always
they would
the case.
tell you that they would tell you that or say that you were doing it wrong, and that was not the case.
Another mess up I made was I ordered the tricolor LEDs off of eBay, and I didn't note down whether it was common anode or common cathode. So I hooked it up the wrong way and ended up writing back to them saying, hey, these LEDs aren't working. And they ended up sending me out another bag of them. And it was finally when I got another bag that I finally realized that it was common cathode that I had received, not common anode.
So you figured out that it was user error, and they paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
happens.
from China, so I paid for it as well in time.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad then. I mean, the time thing sucks, but
yeah, it took like 3 months for them to actually arrive both times. So by the time I actually figured it out, it was 6 months after I had ordered the original set.
Wow.
I noticed that China Post is very strange. Sometimes you'll order stuff and it'll take months to get here. Other times you can order something and it'll arrive like 2 weeks.
It really depends on the time of year. Like right now is a good time. If you'd ordered 3 or 4 months ago, that's when all the shit from China is shipping to the U.S. for the holiday season.
Ah.
So all the ships are full. All the ships are full of holiday stuff, and the shipping prices are up.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
I mean, that's my assumption.
I don't know how in the world they profit off of some of the things though. Like my mother-in-law does crafting, and she orders beads, and the beads end up costing more for the to actually ship it back to China than what she paid for the whole thing.
There's some political things that happen there that cause that. So I forget what it's called, but there's some treaty or something that allows China and other countries to ship to the U.S. for very cheap rates. And it's a very contentious subject.
Ah, okay. That makes sense then.
I mean, there's some people out there I've seen say that you know, the U.S. is subsidizing it. I don't know. Sometimes some stuff like that is just better off to not.
Yeah, all I know is that I was wondering how in the world she was getting like a pound of beads for $1.
So
Right.
don't overlook that in non-capitalistic governments, there are huge grants just to make sure people have a job.
Right.
So it's not unheard of for a company to operate in a loss because the government pays for that quote loss just to keep certain people or a certain number of people employed.
That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't, but it explains it. If that
That's
makes
about
sense.
the best you can. That's the best explanation right there.
I have never used a Schottky diode. That thing has got some serious traces or some serious leads on it. How thick those are.
I can't see the video. Are you sure it's a Schottky? Because Schottky's shouldn't have thick traces.
Yeah, it's a Schottky. It's a 58. Oh, let me find the bag. 5822 Schottky, 40 volt, 3 amp. 1N5822. Those things are over a millimeter thick. That's crazy.
Wow.
So James, yeah. So you would be the one to ask what is a Schottky diode? I know what a diode is, but what's a Schottky diode?
It's special because of math.
You say because of math?
Yeah, you do math. It makes it special.
Okay.
So I don't know the actual like chemical reason. Like if you get down to the junction interfaces and all that, but from a usage perspective, it cleans up square wave or it cleans up edges. So you put a sine wave in, you get a square wave out.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So it's essentially like a full bridge rectifier, then, in a sense.
Or lower voltage, yes.
Schottky diodes
Are you
were the
watching?
only ones that I didn't learn about in my analog course.
Are you watching the video, James?
I will be in a few minutes. I'm walking home now.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm actually surprised you guys seem to be able to hear me. I mean, I'm walking around using my phone and it's like there's street noise and shit and it's all through cell. So, wow.
I mean, I'm using my phone. Granted, I'm on Wi-Fi.
It's
but
good.
Yeah, that's where I'm going with it. Is like, yeah, I mean, if I was at home, I'd be like, yeah, sure, it'd work just fine. But I've been walking around for like 30 minutes and you guys actually seem to understand what I'm saying. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming in pretty clear from my end.
That's what she said.
Always.
Did Babin say she was on her way home?
I'm not sure. I just saw that she dropped out of the call.
Yeah. All right. I gotta figure out where the MOSFETs go on here. I think they go between the 4 resistors. I think that's what that icon is. Icon, yeah, symbol. course, we've already determined what happens when I try and think. So I'll hold on to that for the moment. Come on.
And I've got a question for people who've been in the field longer. What use is a JFET?
A who?
A JFET transistor.
I do not know what a JFET is. Oh, that wasn't cool.
The book for my course said that a JFET is one of the most popular used outside of digital systems, but I have never seen one actually used.
So I was going to do the little clock here, and I was trying to put the insulator on it, and that fucker shot right out of my hand, and it is nowhere to be found on this desk.
Is it on the? Did it fall off the desk on the floor?
I don't know. Well, it was. I was holding it, trying to slide it onto the leads. And I don't know. I know as soon as I say screw it, put it on there anyways, I'll find that fucker.
Yeah, that's always the way.
Man, I have no clue where that is. It was just a little plastic piece. It's just a little plastic insulator. But man, that is not cool. Always something. I don't know how the hell you guys do this shit drunk. I can't do it sober. All right, I got to turn the lights back on.
Well,
I picked the simple project, but
and you got it completed. First one, first drunker box that actually worked.
yep, I'm still surprised about that. I'm still surprised you guys were even able to understand me throughout the entire time.
I think it was one of those deals where as you got more and more drunk, we sort of adapted to the slur until it just didn't exist anymore in our heads.
Right.
I found as long as you spoke Spanish, I was fine.
Wait, I was speaking Spanish?
No, I'm just giving you shit.
Okay, because I don't remember shit. I have to go back and rewatch all of it. It's already cringing as it is.
Don't cringe, dude. It was awesome.
Last night was seriously the funniest and best stream that I have seen on YouTube, period.
Well,
I watched it for quite a while.
Well,
and then I ended up going to bed.
And on top of that, you had a successful on the first try project. I mean, that's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yep. I was surprised I was able to just download it and get everything running, and it worked
Yeah, I was too.
almost okay.
Did anyone notice besides me, or besides the people that were actually there when I mentioned this last night, notice that was the kit that he did last night was the same kit that HackerBox has sent out for like their second box.
I
Yeah,
feel like we
yeah.
talked about that.
I think we did.
Yeah, we talked about it. There's a couple people that weren't in here last night though.
Actually, it's similar. It's not the same.
Is it like a new revision?
Probably the one that I have, the LEDs they're clear, and I have to look at the schematics again, but I'm very sure that depending on the voltage, it changes the color. Because I know
What's
red
going
requires...
on in this thread?
Oh, look who decides to put on pants!
That's questionable.
Ah, damn it!
There are no. I am watching the IT crowd though. So
Nothing wrong with that.
I've been working on my pirate badge. It's coming along nicely. Actually found some code to do 4 PWM channels on a Tiny 85.
Really? What?
Yeah.
Pens?
Or
is it
0, 1, 3, and 4?
That can't be hardware, right? That not all the pins are tied to a timer, are they?
A weird register hack that you can do where you can do PWM on. Now 3 and 4 share a similar timer between the two.
Okay.
But they're good for LEDs.
Well, do they have the same compare register or?
I think so. I'd have to look at the code, but it's really funky.
I
Like,
just
there's a lot
didn't
of
think
weird...
they had that many. I didn't think they had that many compare registers to do. Because that's why I thought. Anyway, sorry, I'm sidetracked. It.
They're piggybacking off of one of the clocks.
Does
so like the clock multiplier then?
Does the AVR? Because like in a MSP, that'd be really easy to do. I don't know how you do it in an AVR.
20.
Anyway,
85. Or M. Yeah, the only pin you can't do a PWM on is pin 2.
Huh.
Yeah, you can only do digital.
Hey, this is going way back, bloody. I've got the same rework station or desoldering station.
Nice.
Although mine's getting replaced. So
Or somebody's Bofang.
So the AT10 chip provides 2 timers and counters, timer counter 0, timer counter 1. Each of these provides 2 PWM comparators.
Yeah.
So in theory, you should be able to get 4 PWM outputs.
But I didn't think the fourth one was connected to anything.
You might be able to do a hack using Charlie Plexer or multiplexing and be able to do that as well.
Well, I wonder if you could actually interrupt it and change the compare register.
Fortunately, the solution is fairly simple. We define an interrupt to occur when register OCR 1A matches timer counter 1. And another interrupt to occur when the counter overflows, reaches 0 again. With this using the TIM-SK register. We OR the values with the existing value of the register to avoid changing the interrupts by the Arduino core functions. There's only one other change. We set PWM1A to 1 and register TCCR1 to enable the OCR1A PWM and timer counter 1. The 2 interrupt service routines are really simple, just a line each.
Yeah.
They simply set or clear the output we're using, PB3. We first set the output. I mean, I did tests on it. It does 0 to 255 very smoothly.
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. So there's code. There's actually code in here, even with a little function to to set color, but all it is setting all it is setting the duty cycle from 0 to 255. The only bug I found is if you're trying to do 3 and 4 at the same time, it gets a little wonky. That. So as long as you do your pin spacing fine, like if you're trying to do like an animation for LEDs. So that's really clever though.
Yeah, that is. I've got a question for you though.
Yeah.
Are you setting the registers through code or through bitwise shifting?
So it looks like it's in the Arduino code. I'm looking at the code here. For example, and these aren't preset. TCC ROA equals 3 greater than com 0A0. It looks like bitwise operators.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
I found out that with Arduinos, bitwise shifting, even if you're just turning output pins on and off, is, I believe, like 4 clock cycles faster if you do bitwise shifting than output or setting the output to high.
Well, are you talking about using Arduino digital write or using bitwise register or port registers to shift or to turn on outputs?
Right, because this isn't actually using analog write at all.
Yeah. But I mean, if so APOC, I thought you're saying bitwise is faster than writing to the port. I'm just trying to clarify. Do you mean the port registers?
Yeah, digital write.
Yeah, okay. Then that makes sense because digital write is slow as shit. So,
but I'm not sure which one would be faster if you do binary values or shift or bitwise shifting.
Well, if you do a shift, that's 1 clock, and then to set the register, the actual port register is another clock. So
here's the website where I found the code.
But if you use digital write, that's all bets are off because it does a whole bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
I've tried to create some time-sensitive systems with digital write, and I had to go and look up faster methods because it wasn't going to cut it.
Well, and even in that case, it's not that it's. I mean, digital write is inherently slow, which is why in time sensitive it doesn't work because it takes forever for it to do something. So interrupts wreak havoc with it. But the barrel shifter, I mean, I would be shocked if we could run across a modern processor you can buy that doesn't have hardware barrel shifters.
Right. The other thing, I mentioned it in post, I believe before we switched over to hardware flare, that I've been looking up, or I've been reading a book that I found on actually speeding things up even faster by doing assembly.
Who's playing with the Bofang?
By the way, switch your shift to caps lock. You'll thank yourself better for Discord push to talk.
That's what I'm hearing?
It can be a pain while typing, but it works. Also, it says here that looks like PWM frequency of about 61 hertz at 1 megahertz tiny 85. So 61 hertz isn't that bad. Since it's so memory limited to begin with, I think they only have 8K key bit of programmable ROM. Because I'm just making a cheap hardware badge. Okay. So this is specifically made for the 1 megahertz, running at 1 megahertz. This is what this is tuned for. This 4 PWM code. But that's fine. That's what you'd want to run that thing at anyway. If you're running it any higher, then you probably shouldn't be using an AT Tiny 85 for it. There's other better options than an AT Tiny.
Unless you're just absolutely constrained to that package.
Yeah. Even then, there's better there's better chips in that package. Maybe for cost, maybe, but even then. Something else I was going to do. So since I'm making a badge for security conference, I was actually going to do some setup where if you had actually had one of the pins pulled high, because there's 2 pins connected to the shitty add-on port, pin 0 and pin 2.
Right.
So with the shitty add-on, if you actually short one of the shitty add-on pins to VCC on boot, so whenever the microcontroller is booting temporarily, then you can it'll change its modes, so it can actually give you different animations based off of that. But it'll only work at boot because you can't really switch them out that quickly. That was just an idea that I had when I was mucking about with the code. I can do different branches of anime. The pin is pulled on boot.
The way that I get around any of the AVR limitations on storage is I've got a set of EEPROMs that I've got in one of my drawers.
Yeah. Well, this is for 500 units for a badge, and I'm trying to stay to about $3 a badge, which is where I'm at right now. It's a 10 LED badge. It's the Pirate Bay tape and crossbones logo.
Oh, okay.
I have 4 LEDs in the tape reel on each side, and they're actually bussed together, each LED for top, left, bottom, right. So I can do a circling animation with fading. And then I have 2 LEDs in the 2 guide pins at the holes at the bottom of the tape. And that's on pin 2. So those are flashers. Uses 2 2032 batteries. It does have the programming header on the back for the micro. So 10 LEDs, 10 resistors, 2 3035 battery clips, and then a SMD female header on the back, and then a big hole in the top of it. PCB Way says that they'll make them for $3.15 a board. So I figured that was actually pretty good.
And by the sounds of it, sounds like you're doing software interrupts rather than hardware.
Most likely, yeah. Specifically, that I linked the code in Drunker boxes. It's something I found on Google, so
I'll take a look at it here, see what it's doing.
It looks pretty cool, and it works. We did some testing of it today, and I removed all delays, and it was blinking at about 40 to 50 hertz, specifically the 255 increment. So, like I said, the only issue that I had was trying to change pin 3 and 4's PWM at the same time. It wasn't exactly happy with that. It would skip a cycle. But the way that I have them designed is pin 3 is the bottom LED and pin 4 is the top LED. So they'll never be on at the same time if I'm just doing a rotation animation. So, Discord, are you being terrible?
I don't think so.
It's just being terrible. So, that's the way that I designed the board. If you go digging around in showroom, I think I have pictures of the tape and crossbone. But man, PCBA is the way to go for like cheap assembly. Yeah, there for 40 cents a board.
That's really cheap.
Yeah, that's because it's all SMD. It's two-sided surface mount, front and back. Single color solder mask, black, with white silk
for you.
You what?
So I don't mean to interrupt, but
yeah,
now that I can actually see what's going on, what are we building and who is doing the build?
That's me doing the build, and I put a capacitor in the wrong fucking spot.
Rip.
So it is a 4-port antenna switch for HF radio.
Oh.
Good Lord, that's blurry. Is it okay? Is it just me, or is that really blurry?
It is kind of blurry, and I was confused. I thought
I was going to keep drinking until it was sharp.
Yeah. Let's give this a try.
Disable beer goggles.
Right. Well, I just looked over at the screen because it's 8 feet away.
And Bald Engineer, about the soldering workstation that I have. The only problem I've had with it so far is that I need to replace the soldering iron heating element.
What do you know what kind of element that it has?
Yeah, the actual box came with a spare element for both the soldering iron and the air gun.
That seems like a flag to me, but I could be wrong. But is it like a ceramic element, or is it like just a pure resistive element?
Ceramic.
And it came with a replacement?
Yeah. It's
okay, maybe you don't have the same one I have.
I'm trying to find the model number for mine. I ended up seeing the review for it on this channel. The guy's no longer active, but it was One Hand Tech.
Damn it. All right. So, you watching the stream, James?
I have it on my screen. Does that count as watching?
Well, yeah. I made sure to set that up just for you.
Oh, you're so kind. I really should have done music. Damn it.
I had to go through. Damn it. I could have swore I had other capacitors. I was just going to replace this one. I had to scroll back through and find the link to that. All right.
James probably didn't hear about the on-air light we're going to have for Drunker Boxers, did he?
Oh, probably not.
Do you know? Do you know what model you've got? Mine is the 968A.
Of the soldering station?
Yeah.
It says 853D on the front of it.
Okay, on further inspection, I don't have either of those.
Which one is yours?
I don't know. It's buried right now, so I can't get to it. But when I look at the pictures of both of those, it's not what I have.
I think AUE, or however you pronounce it, actually do parts on Amazon.
What I've been wanting to get is one of those Heiko or Hako irons where the heating element is actually inside the tip. Have you seen those yet?
I can't say I have.
So that's where I'm starting to like, and that might have been kind of what I was getting to earlier is I don't understand what the quote heating element is in that case because I thought the whole benefit of the ceramic element was that it distributed the heat. So what else would somebody use?
It's a good question. Not sure what type of heating element is in those new irons, but apparently they heat up extremely quick compared to the heating element actually being in the iron.
So, James, you just tagged another, said welcome. That's actually using my wife's account to grab the audio to stream it.
Yeah, as soon as it resolved the username, I realized it. I was like, I felt really bad because there was somebody I didn't recognize and we were ignoring them.
No, it's you know, I'm using the desktop for OBS, the laptop for actually watching chat, and my phone for voice.
So your voice and video are completely separate?
Yes.
Okay. Can I ask you to do something?
What's that?
So with the soldering iron or your finger, maybe your finger's better option. Tap the desk and say tap 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 as you do it.
Okay. Tap 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 tap. I don't know if you could see.
Okay. So that's almost a 5-second delay between your audio and the video.
Well, I mean, we figured out that's pretty common though.
Yeah. I just sorry, I can't help but ask.
Yeah.
Muting the YouTube channel.
You're getting
Good.
too close to yourself again. Your camera.
Yeah, I see that. It should be fairly in sync with
If you want lower latency video streaming, you want to try Twitch instead.
Right. All right, so now that I've butchered a capacitor, so far I've butchered a resistor network and a capacitor today.
I disapprove of activities that destroy capacitors for reasons.
Hey, I did.
I do have my my benchtop power supply here. I could just hook it up to that.
I did some surface mount work today, and I did put a couple of resistors on upside down. It's like, it'll work. Who cares?
How did you solder them? Was it with a tip or air or reflow?
Air with paste.
Okay, yeah, because then you're like, why does this take so much paste to make this work?
I'm still relatively a newbie when it comes to SMD soldering, so I put on all the reasons. So I put all those on, and I'm like, okay, I'll go do the LEDs, and then all my resistors fell off the back of the board. Because all the LEDs are on the front.
Who was building the reflow oven yesterday?
Somebody was. Oh, and putting vias under pads is interesting because the solder paste goes through the via.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea unless you really know what you're doing.
Oh, putting vias on their pads?
Mm-hmm. Where it really gets people, like, you'll do it once because you don't think about it. You're like, oh, I'll just connect this ground right through this pad. That screws things up. Where you get really fucked is when there's like a ground pad on the bottom of, like, say, like a switching regulator, and you're like, well, I better connect these this ground to the other ground through vias so that they're all connected together, and you get the heat sink. Yeah, that chip's not going to work.
Yeah, I'm using this. So the way that I'm using the vias is specifically for the programming header for the Tiny 85. I have them the vias under the chip, so that's not under the top solder pad, but on the back, the solder pad for the connector, which is SMD. It's a female SMD connector.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the vias are under their pads. Now, whenever they go to do the SMD the SMD pick and play, I have no idea what they're going to do at PCB. I don't think they'll run into problems though.
Well,
they should.
You don't run into a problem with pick and place. You run into a problem when it goes to the reflow oven, and surface tension becomes your enemy.
I wasn't having many problems with the surface tension. The vias are very tiny, and the pads are huge. The vias are 1 millimeter, or they might be even less. I think there's 0.3 millimeter vias. And then the pads are massive comparative to the via.
Oh, and Bald Engineer, that's the heating element design or style that's in my iron.
Hold on, let me go back to 5 seconds ago. What was that? I'm just kidding.
One of the
so I think that's a ceramic. I think that's a ceramic element.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Wait, a ceramic soldering tip? Is that a thing?
Yeah, the heating element that goes underneath the metal is usually a ceramic core like that. And then you'll have iron, and then you'll have a copper plating over the iron, and then over that you'll have chromium. And so once you get through the chromium, your tip is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do know there's like 2 different tip styles or heating styles. I'm not so confident about the difference. And so to me, this is a ceramic element, which is very, very common, but I know there's another style.
Inductive?
No, not inductive.
I'm trying to find those tips that's in the newer Hacko models.
Although inductive would be really awesome, because then like you get like these massive metal components that suddenly started shifting, and it would just fuck up people all the time.
So yeah.
That's one of the tips, but you can't see the heating element in it at all.
So what's the iron that's do you have a model number that's in?
Let me look it up.
Yeah, have to replace gouge missing out of the side of the tip.
Bloody is way better than Alexa or Google.
Except he posts pictures instead of actual links.
I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, but who wants me to link to a Google image search?
You always have all these cool products, but then it's just an image of the product rather than a link to the product.
But
So
at least with bloody, you actually.
So where are
get
you at
to
on
see everything.
your project, his boy?
Well, if I would quit putting shit in the wrong hole,
Practical
I'd be
OS.
doing pretty good.
Oh,
Insert
where's
inappropriate
IoT?
joke here.
Speaking of the
Right.
person actually doing work in this drunker boxes, I have two questions. What's your real name and how do you say your handle?
The real name is Ray, and the handle is Tizboyo. And the only reason I use that is because there are other people on the internet that were using Boyo, and I had a friend who used to call me that for whatever reason. He just started calling me that one day, and it just kind of stuck. So,
Oh shit, that boy has a good story. What up?
It's for the Heiko FM 2032. It's not the exact same tip, but I'll post a link to one of those tips.
I really hope I have a good connection on that because I think I fucked up that pad.
And they're, let's see.
All right. Inductor. Oh, I guess I could.
From what I've heard, the main advantage of those types of tips is that they keep temperature better than the old style where you have to use the nut to actually anchor it down.
So just looking at the product page, it talks about having nitrogen as a gas inside the tip.
Sounds painful.
So this is kind of like tires where you just convince people that if you put nitrogen instead of oxygen, the tires will perform better.
It reduces
But I wonder
weight.
this I wonder this maybe this does provide some kind of like the heating coefficient must be different between the two, and so it's not quite as aggressive, right? With a big tip, you want it to you want a bunch of energy to recover. With a really small tip, you don't need that same level of recovery.
Right, and I'll look up the Louis Rossman video where he was comparing the two styles of tips and doing testing on how well they regulated how heat, how fast they heated up, and all that.
Okay.
So,
hey Ray, I just want to point out that either I'm super drunk or you're still not in focus.
Yeah, I don't think the camera has a focus. So what you can see of that,
try pouring alcohol in it. Let's see if that fixes it.
right? What you can see of that, those are the circles with the flat spotter for the LEDs. Which one of those is the long leg of the LED?
Well, the flat spot is probably the cathode, and as a jerk that constantly cuts the leads of a LED, I would use a DMM to make sure that the short lead is the cathode.
Okay.
Or
it should be the long lead, right?
So, well, if you can see the flat spot on the LED, line it up. If not, wait. If you can't see the flat spot, you're in good shape. If you can see the flat spot, you need to do a shot.
surprised there is actually flat spots on the LEDs. I actually never knew that.
Isn't it usually
I didn't know the
also
LEDs
the
actually had flat spots.
it's the flat spot, and then usually the shorter lead tends to be the cathode?
Yeah, you have to be very careful with that. 90% of the time, the longer lead is the anode and the shorter lead is the cathode. But there are LEDs that ship the other way around. Neither
Can
the
you
LED
generally
length,
trust the flat side though?
I was just going to say, neither the LED length or the lead length or the flat spot are guarantees because it's not a standard. It's a convention.
All right. All right. So is audio still working there?
What?
You're gonna make me.
Yeah.
I was making sure. I'm gonna have to go out to the car because my meter is in
This
the
is
car.
great. I am so glad you put a meter.
I love that animation.
Yeah. I had to make sure to set that up before I even put the stream on.
Hey, Babs.
I think I heard my name.
Gotta put
That would be
pants
awesome
on and
on
everything.
an e-ink display, don't you think?
I did not hear that.
Don't you think that would be good on an e-ink display?
Oh, you know, that animation might not be as smooth, but that would work.
Or it could just be the empty glass.
Yeah, that would totally work.
I sort of like the challenge. Like, I really think it'd be fun to figure out different things the TV screen could show. Like, I want to move drunker boxes to be behind the microphone, and then just have the TV display whatever animations you guys think of.
I kind of also think the drink should be going down.
Well, that's you can have a little icon in the corner, like what do they call it? Brain, you fail me. What's it called when you put a little icon on your like video, whatnot, so they know it's you, but it doesn't actually distract from what you're doing?
A watermark.
Yeah, so it could be like a little watermark that's like should be slowly going down as time goes on.
I like that.
And then when you go to fill it up, this plays because you're gonna go get another drink.
I do like the it should have gone back down idea, and that was one that I had, but I was also pretty drunk when I made this, so.
No, I think this has primarily been used to. I need to get another drink. Hold on.
I was about to say it's like you probably need to have different ones. Getting a drink, going leak. Oh shit! I burned myself. I'll be right back.
You could have one that's oops, I knocked it over as well.
Didn't Futurama have like it looked like a little drunk guy holding a like the cameraman is totally drunk and is like be right back, technical difficulty?
Yes.
Oh, that was when they were making up the episode and Bender was the camera.
Oh, and I don't know if you caught it last night, Bald Engineer, but
James.
Pirate ended up not burning himself or cutting himself once until after the live stream was shut down.
Oh no, I caught that because as soon as I heard him scream, I was like, he just burned himself on the soldering iron. I know it. That was the exact
it wasn't the
sound I
soldering
made.
iron. It wasn't the soldering iron. It was goddamn hot solder. It was still.
Sorry, man. That was even better.
I don't feel like I've done a good job on anything if I don't cut myself at least once.
What was that? I think I just talked over you.
I said I don't think I ever do a really good job unless I've cut myself at least once.
That's how you know it's a job well done.
Yeah, there's got to be blood on it, otherwise you didn't do anything.
All right.
All right, so the cathode should be negative, right?
Yeah.
I lost the bag of LEDs.
And it has taken me too long to find this video that I was going to link, so I'm just giving up hope on it.
And then today or last night, I remembered it's like, you know what, I I have the perfect video in case when I burn myself. And it's just gonna be this. Put it in the link. And it starts at 2 minutes and 10 seconds in.
I know what video that is, so unless this is a different video. I mean, a different cut of it.
Alright, I lied. It starts like at 2:22.
All right, James, if you didn't see it, the LED was flashing. So the short leg is the cathode.
But the thing I find funny about Louis Rossman and his videos is he fixes MacBooks for a living, but hates anything Apple related.
Well, just because you're good at fixing their products doesn't mean you like them.
Yeah, that's true. Also, may be the reason why you don't like them.
That very well could be.
Well, there's always valid reasons and graybeard suspender reasons, and I sort of lump computer makers into the same category as airlines or automobiles. Name the brand that nobody hates.
Right.
That's true.
Everybody hates them all. Well, this is interesting. I have let's see here. I have a hole or a spot for a chip, but no socket for said chip. I have the chip, just no socket, which is surprising. Look and see if there was supposed to be a socket. And does not look like it.
Hey, when you said this was a 4-port device, did you mean there's 4 antennas or there's 4 RF ports? Okay.
For 4 antennas and a store.
Okay.
So it's it's push button 1, 2, 3, 4, and then which activates 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you're common to the radio.
Who keeps getting disconnected?
I don't know.
Because I keep hearing somebody getting disconnected and then reconnecting immediately after.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't notice a change.
You say, is it you? Because I didn't hear it.
I hear it, but I don't see I don't see who.
Super Mecha Cow came in the very beginning and then left. I don't know if it was him accidentally clicking on the Jonker Box's chat versus the.
Oh. I don't know. I don't see anybody missing.
Well, Practical IoT's missing.
Well, he just didn't want to be here to listen to me. I only gave him money yesterday, so.
Did you manage to catch anything in the end?
No.
Other than a cold.
He made last night's stream rather interesting.
Oh, yeah?
So, Sarah.
Yeah.
What about her?
So, Juan, how did Sarah react this morning when you saw her?
I didn't. Like, for one, she works in a different building in a different city, which is like 40 miles away. And right now she's visiting family in Tucson, so she's just been texting.
Okay. So you haven't had to deal with last night's repercussions yet.
Oh yeah, no, she texted me. He's like, "Good morning, puppy." I was like, "Oh shit."
So I feel like I'm missing some backstory here.
Yeah, me too.
You have to ask these guys. I don't quite exactly remember how that conversation went.
IoT was essentially convincing Pirate's friend and coworker to admit that she likes him while also convincing Pirate to say the same.
Oh Jesus!
He's a
How
star.
drunk was he?
Which, honestly, I think would have been almost adorable in a way, except then he'd be like, and if he doesn't want you, you can always give me your number.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, come on.
He was a little too drunk to be playing wingman.
He's a little too drunk to be playing with a soldering iron most nights.
And don't forget the lit cigar.
So, Pirate, did I get your name right? Is your name Juan?
No, my name is Pablo. I was just fucking with whoever wanted. He was surprised that everybody had the J's.
Oh, okay. I'm so glad I
like,
asked because I totally thought your name was Juan.
No,
So it would have been like totally racist to somebody else to be like, why does that guy keep calling him Juan? His name's Pablo.
I can go with Juan. It's okay.
But I get where you're going now.
Well, she left. Oh no, she's still here. Babbins is Jamie.
She has other better things to do. Sorry, Bloody, I didn't mean to over talk you.
Oh, look, I said his name too often.
It looks like you summoned her.
Practical IoT in the house.
Oh my God, he actually joined us.
We said his name 3 times.
That's what it was.
James, you ended up, I think, missing the very end of the chat last night after the stream when we were cracking up because of IoT fell asleep.
I heard he was snoring.
Yeah, and it progressively got louder.
Wait, you mean he actually came back on asleep?
I think he never left. I think he just laid down and forgot to turn his headset off. And
You're
about
muted.
20 minutes later, we start hearing the snoring.
So he wasn't sleep drunk boxing then.
That in my head is like, he passed out on like his chair with the headset on.
I think he's been doing the same thing I have and been using his phone. So.
Uh-oh. I just saw him typing.
You guys can't hear me
saying
shit.
Oh shit, that boy, what up?
Oh, I think I blacked out. And I think I fell asleep because I don't have any recollection of going to bed.
So the question we all want the answer to is, did you get Sarah's number?
Did I what?
Get Sarah's number.
What are we talking about?
Wow, he's probably worse than I was.
Did I get Sarah's? Oh! Nice.
And it all comes flooding back.
No, wait. Maybe I am confused. No, am I not confused or am I confused?
Somewhat.
Well,
only you
like
can
me, you're
answer
always
that
confused.
I don't know a Sarah. I don't think.
Yeah,
Unless-
then you blacked out completely.
Unless that's Mecha Cow's wife. I don't know. Was it?
Oh God.
Come on. You do not remember Sarah at all? Like,
No. Who's Sarah?
I don't know. We only spent about 4 hours on her last night. So
What are you talking about?
Wow.
You were schmammered then.
I don't know. Who's? Do you guys know a Sarah?
Is that all in the stream?
Yeah, it's just in the stream.
Go back and listen to that. That was
the
after
best
I
part
went to
about
bed.
Maybe I blacked out a few hours earlier.
the best part about this is you could skip to pretty much any part of the random or any random part of the stream after halfway through, and it only take a few seconds to figure out the Sarah reference.
Really?
I'm gonna have to listen to that instead of a podcast at work tomorrow.
Yeah, it essentially became a we were talking about some sort of IC or something like that. Then you'd be like, so Sarah.
Yeah.
What?
I even forgot.
No, that's actually a really good recap of how it would go. Like every time there was a break in conversation. So Sarah, the internal pirate, even though it means butt sex, he's into you.
What? I remember calling him butt pirate a few times.
I thought pineapples meant butt sex.
But I'd call him that. But I'd call him that any day.
Again, I'm more of a chess guy. But,
Okay, I'm back. Is IoT saying he doesn't remember Sarah? That's what's going on. Right
Yes, that is totally where we're at right now.
And
Exactly what's going on.
Oh my god, dude! Oh my god, I was shouting. You just shut up.
I had no
we're trying to
recognition
tell
anyway.
him, or we're trying to have him remember that he passed out.
What I'm wondering.
Oh yeah, I have audio evidence of that, dude.
I hope I didn't say anything incriminating.
I'm sure you did. So, I don't know if you guys can see.
I mean, I have a few friends named Sarah, but I have a daughter named Sarah. I don't know. It's all weird.
We can see it.
Yeah, boy, this camera sucks. I'm gonna buy a new camera. So, where these buttons go, right?
I gotta bring the stream.
You see the way the buttons are? Yeah, maybe.
Where do I find
anyway?
Yeah.
It's pinned.
It's pinned. Where's it pinned?
And then it's
pinned in drinker boxes.
I gotta click the pin. Okay.
And then it's in the description in the YouTube.
And where's it pinned?
And then it's
there we go.
So
we're gonna have
two
to
larger
make
holes. The two larger holes, I thought were where the contacts on the button went. Well, they're not. And I emailed the guy and I said, "What the hell here? I can't figure this out." And he emails me back. He says, "Yeah, that took me a minute to figure out too. They go in the smaller holes." I'm like, "Really? Yeah, this is helpful."
That's what she said.
Right?
Why the extra holes?
I'm still trying to figure out who the hell Sarah is and what did I say about her?
Because it has little like feet on it.
Oh, alignment pins.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good word, feet. Yeah, it has little alignment pins on it, and well, yeah. So, but because of the way I'm going to try and build this, I actually broke the alignment pins off, and I'm going to put the buttons on the bottom side of the board.
So wait, why are you deciding to do that versus whatever they initially recommended?
So, if you saw, I'll post a picture of the way they did it.
Because instructions are stupid.
Because instructions are
drinks.
stupid. Because right. So the picture I just posted, that's how it's supposed to look. But the relays that sit on here are taller than the buttons. Well, I can't build a damn case. And without the relays sticking out the top of it.
Can't you stick the relays on the other side?
No, I don't believe so. Because they're there's a better term for it. I call them sticky relays.
Latching relays?
Latching relays. Thank you.
Okay.
So I don't think that I can put them on the other side, because if I do, it's got a PIC controller. The PIC is what controls it, and I don't have the software to reprogram the PIC.
So what's the XB for?
Wireless control, wireless switching. So you could put it up on a tower, or out in the outside somewhere, and use the XB, or just in a remote location. Use the XB to switch between. So you could do, and or just in a remote location.
I picked up 4 used ones from eBay for $25 a couple of years ago.
What's that? XBs?
Yeah, and they were $25 a piece at the time.
Yeah, they still are $25 a piece. I have a couple.
Yeah, I got a steal on eBay, 4 of them for $25.
Yeah.
They were pre-programmed with something, and it took me a little while to figure out how to get them back to factory, and so I could program them. But I got them working in the end. They're pretty.
All right. Lost my LEDs again. So I mean, they design. I mean, it's got RS 485 as well. So that they really designed it so you could put it outside, close to where your antennas are. So that you could have one high-quality feed line running outside instead of 4 of them running into the house, because LMR 400 is expensive.
And IoT, to give you a mini recap of last night, Sarah is Pirate's co-worker in another city. And every time there was a break in the conversation, you'd be like, "So Sarah, are you gonna hook up with Pirate? If not, you can give me your number."
Vaguely remember this. Hang on, I vaguely remember this now.
She wasn't in the channel, was she?
No.
The YouTube video link.
I do remember this. Hang on. I can put context around this now.
She was watching the YouTube?
She was watching the stream, and I was trying to start shit with him on the, him having her watch the stream. Yes, no, I was not blacked out at that point. That was
Hold on.
Yeah.
After how many hours does it stop being start shit?
I only remember it happening for like 20 minutes or something.
It went on for hours.
You would not let it go, dude.
That may have
I'm
been...
telling you, half the stream is you being like, "So, Pirate's a really good guy, right? And if you don't, I'll take your number." And then he'd be like doing something. He'd be like, "Hey, Pirate, you know how to get that done? If not, I can tell Sarah how to get it done." And
I think that may have been the transition from drunk to blacked out, because a few of those things I definitely said on purpose. The rest of them I have no recollection of. And if it went on for like more than like 20 minutes, then I was definitely like out.
Oh, it was more than 20 minutes. I might be exaggerating by saying hours, but this was not like it was like a little segment that.
That's hilarious. And that's why we call it Drunker Boxes.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the second video itself is 3 hours long, and at least half of that. At least half of that. You brought it up.
That's funny. Did I tell any funny jokes? Because usually they're not.
And it was literally every 2 to 3 minutes. And that may be exaggerating. It may have been shorter time than that.
That's generous.
That's funny. I remember.
So, okay, IoT, do you remember the tree working at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the whole Sarah thing is super funny, But let's not overlook like he made the fucking thing work. And
I know. I thought that was great.
I don't think any of us were sober enough to solder that thing, and he did great.
No, he did. He did amazing.
And Pablo, when did you burn yourself? Was that before or after you finished the bottle?
I remember that too.
No, that was way after. No, because I finished the bottle like 30 minutes to an hour before we ended the stream.
Oh, it was like an hour.
What were you drinking?
Okay.
Because Babs was like constantly, every time you're like, I should get a shot. And she's like, yeah, of water.
Yeah, I remember that.
Water.
I was drinking straight rum.
Oh, man.
So how the fuck did you go to work today?
I don't even know. Okay, so last night when I finally decided to like lay down, the whole room was literally spinning. I
You don't say.
Out of the
Yeah,
bed.
no
It was
shit.
It's like, all right, stop moving for the love of fucking God. And then
Why did I let them talk me into this?
you guys are bad influences.
Right.
So I woke up at 6. No, like at 5:30 as I get ready and everything. And apparently I was still drunk. So I slept for another hour because then I had to go to work. I don't have to go in until 8. But I normally try to go in there early, but I had time. So I took another nap. Woke up semi-buzzed still. And I recently got a haircut that day. So it's like, all right, I think I missed some spots. So I, retrimmed that. Then went
Hey,
to
boyo,
work. And
use blue tape for that.
Blue tape? What do I need blue tape for? I had a Ziploc bag.
That's true.
It worked,
I was
didn't it?
I wasn't quick enough. The stream's a bit slow.
Yeah. It worked, didn't it?
You're right, it did.
Yeah, if it works, it's not stupid.
Wait,
Oh, I didn't
sorry.
say
I
it was
don't.
stupid. I just thought there was a better way of doing it.
I only
So wait,
want to
so
interrupt the story for a second because I just want to double check. Tizboyo, when's the last time you had a drink?
I don't think you were here for that conversation. I do not drink.
He's
Oh, so we have to have a pitch drinker?
Yeah. I'm sure Practical IoT's already started.
Oh, I think it's Pirate's turn.
We need to have like a token we pass around.
yeah, you're gonna need a designated drinker.
You guys
Also-
are welcome to.
Also, since you don't drink, since I missed it, I'm sorry if we already determined this. That means you need to solder with your eyes closed, right?
I thought it was one hand behind his back.
Oh, I know. You can solder with your non-dominant hand. How's that?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fair, guys, right?
This
Fair
sounds
compromise,
Hey,
no?
You've seen I've already screwed up all kinds of shit already, right? And I'm sober.
Have you done all the capacitors? Because you won't offend him if you've done all the capacitors.
Yeah. I've done them all twice.
Oh my God! Face the board away from your eyes.
Yeah, did you design the box that this is going in, or is this a pre-designed thing you just printed?
No, I designed it.
Damn, it's looking pretty nice.
Well, it didn't come out. This is what it's supposed to look like. Let me find the other piece. I threw it behind me. I did this, and it's supposed to hinge.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's supposed to hinge on this side. It's supposed to hinge because the coax connectors are going to go here, and I'm going to thread them. Oh, this is the one I had it threaded. I must have took it out. I'm going to thread them through the plastic.
Yeah.
But I wanted to be able to remove the board if I wanted to be able to populate the other optional stuff.
Right.
And in order to be able to move the board, I've got to be able to basically take this part of the case with it, because at that point it's going to be attached.
Ah, okay.
But that's a fuck up. That's a fuck up. Of course, I know I just did that with a 5-second delay, but my holes here do line up, so I'm good there. Okay.
And that's the part you were printing earlier, right?
Yes.
That makes sense.
So,
Oh,
the camera in here.
kid tested, Sarah approved.
I just noticed IoT's handle changed.
That changed like. I don't know,
Yeah,
he
I
changed
saw
it
that.
now.
He did that yesterday when we were making fun of him. I just now noticed. I'm sorry.
I am not
I'm
very
sorry, lady.
Still
observant.
look
How
at
did you
the-
wait? That sounds even worse. Shit.
But if you can see, it's still the same old one, like in the channel chat.
I
thing.
mostly ignore everything about IoT, so
That's
fine.
good advice.
Soldering.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't see that ending well, James. All right, I can't find my Arduino sticks.
It's hard to
Oh,
ignore.
there they
You
are.
can't ignore him.
So I like this idea of a Drunker Boxes Kmart blue light special thing.
You're on everything.
Right.
Blue light special thing.
And if you weren't a child of the 80s and had a Kmart, you won't know what I'm talking about.
Well, I remember they were the specials that would take my mom away from the video game section, and they always pissed me off.
Yeah, Kmart would have a blue light special in aisle 5. And
Yeah,
you'd
she's
go,
like, "Oh, let's go get socks." Fuck
Yeah.
that.
I thought this
I
was
want-
going to be a Junker Boxes bat signal. I like that description better.
bat signal.
Yes, because
We need to put a
I want-
GPS in
we
the
wanted,
trunk.
we wanted to send a signal out to let Super Mecha Moo know that we were doing a Junker box.
Super Mecha Moo.
You know, that started off as shortening his name, and now it's long.
Well, you guys made fun of me because I shortened it, but I want to say Moo, Mecha Moo.
Mecha Moo,
Dot
Mecha
signal.
Moo.
I'm so sorry, Babs. I just now realized what IoT did.
Finally,
Wait, what?
Oh God, I'm afraid.
you were focusing on the pants, weren't you?
Well, I was like, how did she not notice that you added pants to your name?
Oh no, that's not what I was talking about. He's had that in his
Actually,
handle before. He's
what-
no pants.
Right.
But that's what I thought you meant, because I was like,
You
how
were,
did you?
you're giving me shit.
You're
You are
both
giving me
missing.
shit. This is great.
You're both missing the other obvious change.
I know,
Well,
right?
We already know
Capitalize
that.
practical.
There's a space.
Wow. I was looking at the emojis and not the
Oh, so
name.
none of you guys noticed. That's what I was talking about. And you just gave me a bunch of shit for it. Oh my god.
Again, to be fair, in the chat stream thing, his name is still the same. It only changed, I guess, until he leaves and comes back in. Kind of thing.
No, it changed for me. Sometimes
No.
it just takes a minute.
So the funny thing is, what you may or may not have realized is yesterday it had a thumbs up by the pants.
Yeah, I can see that still. Practical
Oh,
IoT,
geez.
thumbs up pants.
Oh no. Nope, 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 nope.
Oh, did he? I thought you had it thumbs down pants when we were
I
talking
told-
about it.
I told you
Let's
you're gonna
not
scare her off.
think about this way too hard.
You're gonna scare her off. That's funny.
So,
Yeah.
Tizboya, what are you doing? Because I'm tired of talking about pants.
I am soldering on the latching relays because my brain is not functional, and I was getting ready to apply power to a board that didn't even have the relays, which is the primary reason for even having the board.
I would just
Okay,
like
so
to
it's
point
not
out that
time.
the first time Pirate applied power to his board, it worked. Just saying.
Right?
You know,
Yes.
I had
Well, It wasn't going to work when I applied power regardless because I don't have the microcontroller in it.
I like the way James is playing dad and keeping us all on track.
Now, children, yes.
Hey, somebody's got to be the responsible one. God knows it's not drunk Uncle Josh.
Well, I am no Mr. Moderator man, but I will do my best. Oh, come on, guys. That was a reference from
I
last
got
night.
it. I got it.
Oh, thank God. I was like,
Sorry, you can't hear when I laugh sometimes, so I use push to talk, but I have the radio going, so.
oh my God, they all think I'm an asshole now. Thanks.
She has pushed the babble.
And that's not why you should think I'm an asshole.
What was the reference there?
Sarah, after making it very clear she was not in love with Josh, told Pablo that Mr. Moderator Man doesn't understand, or actually, I don't remember what she said. I just remember he articulated that she called Josh Mr. Moderator Man.
That's funny.
So basically, she wasn't in the chat with us. She was texting. It feels so weird to call people
IoT
by their
or
first names.
pirate.
So
Pirate.
I'm just gonna call you Pirate. She
then
was
she was
texting
texting-
Pirate, and then he was reading her text with her
Yeah.
permission, which I thought was very good. Thank you for doing that, by the way.
Yep.
Wait, did I even
Right.
ask
And
that? I can't
she was
remember.
she was on YouTube. She wasn't part of any of our shenanigans.
No, but she could hear everything that we said. So
Yeah, and
So
she
where's
goes,
Pirate?
moderator dude either really wants me or wants you to get laid. Ha. I don't know if I ever read that to y'all or not.
you did. You did.
Okay.
Where is Pirate?
INT Pirate.
What about me?
Where are you located?
I live in Texas.
Ah, okay. I expected
Where
some
is
foreign
Sarah?
land.
And where? Florida?
Oh, foreign land.
Well,
Oh.
Texas is its own country, so
Yeah.
you know.
Actually, I found out an interesting fact that Texas is the only state that can actually secede from the Union.
Not only that, but the state senate votes every year on whether or not they should secede.
I did not
Oh,
know
now
that.
that I did not know.
Yep. And
California had a
And they
stint
haven't
after
voted
Trump.
yet.
That wasn't real. That was people stirring up shit.
Yeah, wasn't there going to be like a California
You
half?
can go look at state senate proceedings, and it comes up. I mean, it's never been
It comes
even
up a lot. I mean, it comes up more often than just people being upset right now.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, the vote comes up every year, but I mean, it's never been remotely close. But every year, the Texas State Senate has to vote on whether or not they secede.
That's hilarious.
I thought we
Yeah,
had
I
the
actually didn't know
option
that.
and the ability to actually self-sustain if we did. But
Yeah,
then
that's the
they
scary
voted.
part.
Well, that's
Texas
the other
totally.
thing is-
Texas is like one of the only independent states. They could totally be fine if they seceded.
I think California kind of falls on that list as well. They're the
I'm
sixth
pretty.
if
We have a
California was
Oh,
bigger
no.
GDP, I thought, than some countries.
No.
Yeah.
California couldn't survive because if we can't tell everyone what to do, we would just all die.
They're the sixth largest economy in the world if they were classed as a state.
Well, you have to look. You have to look beyond economy and just look at, and also look at industry, and that's what makes Texas unique. Is that it's literally a self-sustainable state. I don't know, but I don't know that California is in that same category.
So what is it that gives Texas that status then that California doesn't have?
They produce more than they consume.
Well, no, again, it's diversity in industry. It's not necessarily GDP. It's the industries that they're in. Texas is one of the most diverse. They're the least susceptible to any particular industry. And then on top of that, they, like you said, they produce more. Now, what led to it is the fact that the taxes in Texas are so low. But whether that's the reason or not, that's a whole nother fucking debate. But I'm just saying, you don't have to look very far to realize Texas could actually secede and be its own country and probably not suffer a major loss.
Right. All right.
So are you just probing this thing because it feels good, or is this like part of the build instructions?
See, this is why we needed you here. No, I was just more or less checking to make sure there were no shorts.
So I noticed you only probed it in the small holes. Is there a reason for that?
Because all of the big holes are all ground.
Well, that's racist.
No, I mean,
Oh, come on. Nobody thought that was funny.
Cut out and made the big holes sound like dick holes.
The only thing I would worry about it with a state seceding is what would the U.S. government decide to do? because they could turn around and declare war on a state that just seceded.
Sure.
Trump would build another wall.
And
But then had Texas pay for it.
any state that's got that does succeed is going to have to take at least a decade to build up a military, because you know that
except Texas.
All the
That's what
citizens
the
in Texas
National
are armed,
Guard
so
is.
they've
But
already got their own
here's the
military.
thing, because Texas is Texas. Basically, everybody has a gun, so technically, we can run with the militia for a bit.
Exactly.
I think you're bringing up. I think you're bringing up a fantastic like realization to a romantic notion. Like the romantic notion is a state could just secede at whatever point. But the reality is there's a whole shitload of things that have to happen that
Oh yeah.
it just
It's not gonna
wouldn't
be
work.
overnight kind of thing.
Right. And even Texas, as independent as it is, I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, the practicalities are ridiculous, but it's also interesting to think about, right? I mean, what if a state as big as Texas just said, "Fuck you guys, we're out"?
But then what would that really accomplish? It was like we could do whatever we want, but at the same time, I doubt that we're going to do whatever we want.
Well,
that's the thing. Nothing would really change.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I mean, it would actually just cost them a whole lot of money, and at the end of the day, it might actually be economically uninteresting, right?
Well, economically too, as soon as a state secedes, all trade all trade that the country has just vanish. So they would have to set up their own trade to be able to get their products out.
Well, see, here's an interesting example. You can take the Brexit vote as an example. Look how long it's taking England and Scotland and all those guys there to figure out how to leave Europe.
That's a really good point, because the last time somebody tried to leave Britain was like what, 270 years ago?
Oh, I did it 10 years ago.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It's more paperwork now.
more paperwork, less guns.
So I'm just looking at this design, thinking to myself, holy crap, that XB is going to make this thing expensive.
The what?
The XB that they've got on there has to make the build cost for this thing prohibitive.
That is why it is optional.
So,
all right.
I realized earlier you told me this is a 4-port antenna. Whatchamacallit? What is it? What does it do?
It's a 4-port coax relay. So it's a 4-port antenna switch.
For what?
Amateur radio.
Oh, so you have 4 different antennas going to your radio.
Correct.
So then, okay, why is there a microcontroller and buttons?
Why is all this shit? Yeah.
The microcontroller is there to handle the serial communication over the XB.
So the buttons actually talk to the micro, and the micro controls the relays?
It does, yes.
Are you sure I didn't design this? Because it looks over-designed.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts on this.
So from a practical perspective, and I'm not shitting, I'm actually curious, why would you want this?
For remote antenna switching. It's intended to be.
What do you mean by remote?
To put it up on the side of an antenna tower, and to give you the ability to switch which antenna you're using from inside the house.
Without running individual runs of expensive, highly lossy coaxial cable into the house.
So you just run the most expensive
Exactly. You run one really, really high quality run, and then you switch it remotely.
Okay.
Right.
Again, I'm not sitting around when I ask, but so what's kind of the frequency ranges the different antennas would have?
It just depends on what band you're using. So there's 6 or 7 different HF bands, and each one requires a different size antenna. So there are
you just decide which 4 that you want, and then hook them
well,
up
you
to
can
this
get
thing?
you can in a way you can get multi-band antennas. I've got one that does 4 or 5 bands, but every antenna is a compromise, and so you compromise on we'll say a little bit of gain gives you a whole bunch of bands.
Okay.
Or you get a mono band, a single band antenna, and you get a whole lot of gain out of it.
Okay. So again, though, like what are we talking about in terms of frequency range? Are we talking about something that's in the 100 megahertz versus a gigahertz range, or are these things like really close together?
Everything, it's all below 30 megahertz. And it's 28, 21, 17, 14, 7, 3.
So you're only talking about a couple of megahertz difference between the different bands?
Yeah. And the antennas are based on the wavelength. So, you know, the longer the wavelength, the bigger the antenna is, basically.
So an antenna at 1.8 megahertz might be 200 feet, whereas an antenna at 24 megahertz might be 15 feet.
Yeah. So then what kind of signal to noise ratio are you talking if you don't, I mean, why couldn't you just use one antenna and use DSP to filter it versus having 4 physical antennas and a relay?
Transmitting.
Yeah.
This is transmitting?
Because of transmitting. So for receiving, an antenna can be largely whatever you want it to be, and then you can adjust the inductance and the capacitance to kind of tune it in and pick up RF. But when you're transmitting across an RF antenna, you've got to deal with a standing wave ratio. So if an antenna is not at a resonant frequency for the transmission going across it, rather than the RF being emitted out the antenna and into the air, the signal actually bounces back and gets fed back into.
Okay. I totally missed that. You'd have to transmit.
Basically, if your antenna is not matched to your transmission system, you can blow your shit up.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen. Well, not in this range, but I get the concept. I just completely missed that you need to be able to transmit. So.
Yeah, and the other thing that comes into play is power handling capabilities. When you're listening, you're looking at a system for receiving on an antenna, you're talking about millivolts. When you're transmitting, he's pushing potentially, several hundred, if not approaching 2,500 watts of power through this.
Yeah.
Now, what he's holding is not going to handle 2,500 watts, but it might handle 100 watts.
That's what she said.
1.21 getting jiggy with it, watts.
There you go. Okay, yeah, I sorry again. I realized that was really fundamental. I just missed it. I'm just thinking. I'm like, guys, I have a really shitty antenna that can do like a gigahertz of bandwidth. So why do you need a whole board for that? But I never thought. I'm antisocial, so
when you're down at those frequency ranges, antennas are not very broadband either. That's
true.
They're widely narrow banded, so small frequency changes really move the resonance around much more dramatically than they do at higher frequencies.
Okay, so at these ham frequencies, are your antennas and transmission lines, are their characteristic impedance 50 ohms or 75?
50.
Okay.
And for some ham radio applications, we don't use coax. So you might think of coaxial cable because it's shielded and heavily engineered and copper clad this and blah 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 blah. You might think that it's fairly low loss. Well, there are certain situations at the frequencies that this antenna switch is designed to operate at where rather than even using a coaxial transmission system, we'll use an old flat ladder line wire and have no shielding whatsoever, and it's just considered a balanced transmission line. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You think, holy crap, that's like 1940s tech, and it is, but it's extremely low loss.
I have two thoughts there, but I'm going to try to stick with one. What the hell is ladder line?
Okay. Do you remember when you were a kid and your TV antenna had this flat cable that was 2-conductor and usually brown?
Yeah.
That is, they call it twin lead. Ladder line is just a very slight deviation from that design that's a little bit larger physically, but same exact concept. It's a balanced transmission line.
So is it a coax where there's a shield, or is it that there's the signal and return are in different conductors?
The signal and return, well, it's not so much signal and return as it is, if you think of an antenna like a dipole, you've got the ground and then you've got the actual driven signal. So both signals are carried the same distance, equally spaced apart from each other.
Well, okay, so now you're describing a differential signal, right?
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, is that
magic? It's all magic.
It is. It's a lot of most of us don't totally understand or even understand, but
RF and I mean all this shit just surprises me because right now I've got a client that's paying me to explain how transistors work. And, it reminds me of RF in the sense that nothing is simple. You can't just say, like right now you're talking about two different conductors. I'm like, okay, got it. That's a differential pair. It is, except it's not. Although I'm just going to guess if we went one step deeper, what I think of as a differential pair is probably similar for a reason I haven't thought of.
Yeah, probably.
You want to see some crazy? Go look up simple SDRs. Very, very basic ones.
Well, I understand SDRs though, from a conceptual perspective.
Right, where they're taking a block of the RF spectrum and then moving it down to audio.
Yeah. I mean that's what I do every day is talk about how you frequency down conversion and then you sample it and blah blah blah. But
because a friend of mine had made an SDR that used a crystal and some passives, and that was it.
And a sound card.
But even that, like, right, it's like, for me, it's really simple to explain how a radio works by saying, oh, sure, you just mix it with an IF and then you get an output product. And I sort of just accept that all that works. How many people are like, what the fuck does any of that mean?
And then, look up PCI Express signaling and how that crazy shit works.
Yeah, that's what I do every day, dude.
Oh man.
I helped write the first spec, so.
Oh, sweet Jesus!
So you're the motherfucker that I have to pick a fight with now.
I made a lot of money convincing people they need it.
No. I'll give it this. PCI Express actually has a really good link layer protocol. At least on the fact that you can still slap it on a shitty cable and it still works at 1x.
Well, but it's not the link layer that does it. It's all of the equalization and pre-emphasis that happens on the physical layer.
Well, you're still shunting it over a USB 3 cable to a graphics card.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. Like I remember like when the SIG first had a conversation about USB 3 is going to be PCI Express Gen 2. I'm like, fuck you guys, you're retarded.
And then Thunderbolt came out.
And now it's like, shit, everything I have is USB 3. And it's like in the back of my mind, I'm like, how does any of this shit work when I plug it in?
Yeah. Well, it's like Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt's all kinds of fucking magic too.
Well, and remember when Thunderbolt was first proposed, it was light peak because Intel was like, there is no way we're doing 10 gigabits per second with 2 pairs of conductors over copper. Can't be done. And then Apple's like, okay, well, we'd prefer.
Hold my beer.
That's the best.
Here, hold my beer. Let's do some science. And now we have fucking Thunderbolt 3 on most laptops now in enterprise.
So, okay. Speaking of
Apple, like one big Drucker boxes. Then
speaking of Thunderbolt, what does the blinking green LED mean?
I was going to say,
for what
problems?
It's the status light. So,
is it resetting? Is it happy? Is it saying hi?
I'm not quite sure what the blinking green means, but you press 1 and 1 lights up, and it's switching between them. And I don't know if you guys can hear the relays clicking or not.
Yeah.
Can you bring him closer to the mic because I like relays clicking. I think it's hot.
I think you would like. There's been a couple of computers made with pure relays.
Really good relays sound awesome, right? It's like D10s on a scope.
I agree.
Yeah, that little funk that they make, it's great.
Uh-huh.
I mean, seriously, like
I used to do
about, like RF gear when it like switches attenuation settings. It's like, oh god, I want to keep doing that.
You would really enjoy antenna tuners then.
Yeah, I'm not really into long pointy things that you put into stuff.
I used to work on
That's what she said.
the electromechanical pinball machine.
That could have
pinball machines.
Do what?
Do tell pinball machines. Keep talking.
Okay, so electromechanical pinball machines. Have you ever seen those? The ones from the 60s and 70s?
I've seen pictures. I'm not allowed to touch them.
Thing is, they're programming wheels. And that's the best you can call these things, really. They're fully analog machines for the most part. They use a mixture of AC 60 volts across the whole damn thing, because that's how they drive their solenoids. And they have these programming wheels. And these programming wheels are wheels that have conductors on them. And they're mostly spring-loaded, at least the later ones were. They were spring-loaded so you could reset them to 0. But every time you did an action on the board, it would move the wheel forward. And that's how it saved its state, its current logical state, and it would connect different connectors together. So it kind of works like a music box. So there's these paddles, and there would be 8 paddles for the most part, right? With little carbon conductors in between each paddle, and they would be slightly separated apart. And depending on how far up the notch was on the wheel is how many paddles would be pushed up.
Damn.
And that's how they did their logic. And they'd have a bank.
Go ahead.
They'd have a bank of 10 of these. And so each wheel would turn independently from one another, depending on a different action. And that's how they did their different logical states.
So it was basically those music boxes with the little pricks and music tines, right?
Yeah, but depending on how far up the pip was is how many paddles would touch from 0 to 8.
So was that like the foundation of pinball game logic? Because I hear that with pinball all the time. It's like, well, the game logic, blah blah blah. It's like, I mean, dude, it's like a bunch of if statements, right?
The game logic is that, well, that's how they did the scoring. The scoring was a separate unit. And it was actually designed separately. It would just receive pulses from the game board, or the programming logic from the other wheels to increase the counters. But they're usually pretty basic. Like they were just count ups where
it would be, okay, you hit this and it would move the wheel 1 notch. You hit this again, it moves the wheel 2 notches and such. So you could have an incremental, but you could also program it where you got to a certain point, it would move it back down 1. Or there was some where the wheels could go backwards or forwards to change the states, but you still had like the maximum amount of states for that one wheel, depending on how many paddles you had reading that wheel. And God forbid if you ever got one of those out of sync from one another, because you'll never fix it.
Yeah, it seems like you'd have to have some kind of like visual indicator that says put these 2 things here.
Yeah, usually what they'll do is they'll either notch them, so there's actually like a notch that will go across them all, and you can reset them that way to zeros, or they're spring loaded, and you can they'll on boot. Well, when you plug them in, they'll reset themselves to 0. Those were mostly found in the 70s.
Wait. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. What did you just show us? What did you just show us?
I was trying to show, and then I set it down somewhere and lost it.
Great. I didn't interrupt your story, but I've missed like half this stream, and I have no idea where we're at. What's going on?
Well, we're already done with the part where we talk about how great you are. So sorry you missed that.
Right. I'm sure that
You
happened.
did that while you were driving home. Yeah.
Oh, so we did it twice tonight.
Yeah.
Sorry. What was that though? We could not read it. It was too blurry.
It's a HackerBox's U2F0 that I just found laying on my desk.
Oh, I remember that.
So that makes me sorry.
Yeah.
How many people on the chat right now are still subscribing to HackerBoxes?
I actually never
subscribed.
did.
Is anyone active?
Yeah, I am, Jay.
Okay.
I think they are. I've only gotten 3 HackerBoxes. I do think they're kind of expensive.
I was never opposed to the price because I couldn't do the same thing for cheaper. So I was like, I mean, from a mass service perspective,
right? Like, it's not too bad, but there's a lot of like, here, have fun, figure it out. They don't really give you like documentation or anything.
I've got a whole fucking pile of Arduino Nano clones that I'm never going to use.
Yeah, they kind of give those out like candy, you know. Which is nice if you don't have an Arduino, but like I have like 50 AT Tiny 85s on my desk right now.
Okay, so related to that, Tizboyo, was this a HackerBox kit?
It was not.
Okay.
Oh, it went dark.
Yeah, I turned off the light.
It's dark and noisy like Sarah.
Oh, Sarah's dark now?
I don't know.
So someone
I just realized the negative connotation with that, so I take it back.
But can someone recap